All right, let's talk Amphenol. We're digging into their Q3 2025 earnings. And folks, this was a big one. A classic beat and raise quarter that really turned some heads. So let's jump right in and see what all the fuss is about. And we're not going to waste any time here. This was, to put it mildly, a blowout quarter. The performance was just exceptional across the board. So right out of the gate, you see this number, a 14-cent beat on adjusted earnings per share. And look, that's not just squeaking by expectations. That is a huge beat. It's the kind of number that tells you something special is happening with this company, a really decisive signal of just how strong they are right now. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. What do the rest of the numbers look like? You'll see this was a decisive beat in more ways than one. Man, just look at this table. It really tells the whole story. Revenue, a whopping $6.2 billion. The analysts, they were expecting around $5.5 billion. That's not just a beat, that's a home run, a 53% jump year over year. Then you look at the bottom line, the adjusted EPS, up 86%. And the real kicker for me, that operating margin, a record 27.5%. That's a huge expansion. We're talking top line, bottom line, and profitability just firing on all cylinders. Let's really put that revenue number into perspective. A 53% year-over-year jump, I mean, that's just staggering. But here's what's even crazier. 41% of that was organic growth. So what does that mean? It means this wasn't just them buying other companies to boost their numbers. No, this is their core business, the stuff they do day in and day out, absolutely exploding. And back to this margin number, 27.5%. It's a record for them, and it tells you everything you need to know about their execution. This is what we call operating leverage, and it's beautiful to see. It's like the more they sell, the more profitable each sale becomes. They're just converting that massive revenue surge into pure profit at an incredible rate. It really speaks volumes about how efficient this company is. And you might be thinking, okay, great quarter, but can they keep it up? Well, the signs are pointing to yes. They booked a record $6.1 billion in new orders. Their book-to-bill ratio is right around 1, which basically means they're booking new business just as fast as they're shipping it out. That gives them some really solid visibility for the near future. The pipeline is full. So we've seen the incredible numbers. We know what happened. The question is, why? What's the engine behind all this? Well, it boils down to one massive theme. AI. Now look, the explosive demand from AI data centers was definitely the star of the show, no question about it. But what's really impressive is that it wasn't a one-man show. Management made it clear that they're seeing strong, broad-based growth across most of their markets. Add in some smart acquisitions and a massive amount of free cash flow. We're talking $1.2 billion. And you've got a recipe for success that's also funding big returns for shareholders. But let's circle back to that AI story because wow. Just look at this. Their IT datacom segment, the part of the business that deals with all this stuff, grew 128% organically year over year. That's not a typo. That kind of growth is almost unheard of, and it is a direct line from the explosion in demand for all things AI. You know, the CEO, Adam Norwatt, really hit the nail on the head during the call. He talked about how this AI revolution is a unique opportunity for them because of their products. And it makes perfect sense when you think about it. All these powerful AI servers, they're like supercars. They need specialized plumbing, right? High-speed connectors and power solutions to handle all that data and energy. And that's exactly what Amphenol provides. They're selling the critical picks and shovels in the middle of an AI gold rush. Okay, so that was a monster Q3. But investing is always about what's next. So let's look at the road ahead. We'll check out their guidance, what they're doing with M&A, and how they're spending their cash. And the guidance they gave for Q4 is really, really strong. They're calling for revenue between $6 and $6.1 billion and EPS between 89 and 91 cents. Now, you might notice that's a tiny step down from the absolute blockbuster Q3 they just had, but don't let that fool you. On a year-over-year basis, that's still a massive 39 to 41% increase in revenue. The party is definitely not over. The momentum is absolutely still there. And they're not just sitting on their cash. They're being very active on the M&A front. You can see they just closed one deal. Another is expected to close soon. But here's the really interesting part. That huge CommScope CCS deal, they've actually pulled the closing timeline forward to the first quarter of 2026.
You just don't do that unless you're feeling extremely confident about getting things done. It's a big vote of confidence for management.
You want to see real confidence? Look no further. A 52% dividend hike. That's huge. Plus, they bought back $153 million of their own stock just this quarter. And how can they do all this? It all comes back to that incredible cash generation, that $1.2 billion in free cash flow. It gives them the firepower to invest in the business, make acquisitions, and give a ton of money back to their shareholders.
All right, let's put it all together. We've looked at the amazing results, the why behind them, and what management sees coming down the pipe. So now it's time for our take. It's time for the next call.
So, after all that, what's the verdict? Where do we think Amphenol is headed from here? What's our call?
Okay, here's what's on our radar for the next quarter. First, the stock price. It jumped after earnings and then pulled back a bit. That's pretty normal. The market's just got to digest a move that big. We're watching for it to kind of settle down, consolidate, before potentially heading higher once these incredible fundamentals really sink in with investors. As for the actual results, we think they'll probably come in at the high end of their own guidance thanks to that unstoppable AI demand. And the things we'll be watching like a hawk are that IT datacom book-to-bill, making sure those margins stay strong, and of course, any news on how they're planning to integrate that big CommScope deal. So, when you add it all up, our call on Amphenol is a clear outperform. You've got this massive, long-term tailwind from AI, you've got solid strength across their other businesses, and you've got a management team that is just executing flawlessly. It's a powerful combination, and for us, it makes a really compelling case for the stock to continue outperforming the market. And of course, just a reminder for everyone, this is not financial advice.